So I think we can start. Greetings all and welcome to our webinar about tokenization, a concept that is redefining our understanding of value and ownership. My name is Valerie and I will be your webinar host for today. So did you know that through the tokenization, you could potentially own a fraction of some of the most valuable artworks or historically significant artifacts? Like imagine owning a piece of the Mona Lisa or some ancient Egyptian artifact. Everything is possible. So today we will dive deeply into this topic and uncover how this powerful tool, tokenization, is forging new paths for investment. So let me introduce our speaker for today's event, Andrew Nelichayev, an expert in cryptocurrency, blockchain, and financial technology. Andrew has developed business ideas for more than 200 projects related to cryptocurrencies, DeFi tokens, and NFTs. He also participated in developing and teaching courses for more than 3,000 students. So sit back, open your minds, and let's get started. Andrew, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. You know that tokenization is the topic that I fully in love, and let's discuss it together. And I really appreciate to speak for you and tell you how it works. Tokenization at its heart is the process of converting some rights to the basic asset on the digital tokens. This is we can issue some tokens on top of blockchain or even sometimes without blockchain. But in any cases, it's about converting something that exists in the real world or not exist, we will discuss it later, into a digital tokens. And just emerging that examples, what we can tokenize generally. Yeah, for sure, it's about some art, maybe antiquities. We can tokenize even ideas and technologies, some maybe gold, some unique assets, some, I don't know, maybe stocks, real estate. We will discuss all about it later. But tokenization is not fully new concept. Tokenization exists many years ago. And sometimes we can speak about first examples of tokenization even before like today's world, before ITs, before digital assets and before computers. The first example of tokenization is representative money. Well, I know that maybe all of you used fiat money or cash money. It's maybe paper printed or some coins. And it means that we can represent some value with these fiat monies that cost more that process of producing these tokens or producing these papers. It's kind of an example of first tokenization. The next tokenization examples is commodities. Just emerging that you shouldn't right now trade some maybe gas, oil, seeds. You can just create papers that represent some amount of these goods and deal with it. It also will help you if you, for example, want to hedge something. For example, you want to produce some seeds, but you're not sure about future price, and you can buy these commodities as a hedge. It's also about tokenization. And stock certificates. In 17th century, East India Company created the first stocks, and it represents some percentage of ownership of its company, and they sell it. And if someone owns this kind of papers, it means that they also own some percentage of businesses. But let's see how tokenization works. First of all, right now we have like database. It can be done with paper database, like a book of orders, for example, many years ago, or now we can use a blockchain. And just imagine that you have some unique arts and you want to sell it, but it's quite expensive and you can't to sell it to one person, and you will try to find a buyer maybe per month or years. Yeah, it's quite difficult, but you can you can decide to tokenize your arts, and you can split it to, for example, 1,000 of tokens and sell it with this like small part of ownerships, and anyone who owns this kind of tokens will get some rights to original assets. And for this, blockchain is really useful because you shouldn't take care about many aspects. You should just create tokens, and anyone who owns these tokens is owner some percent. It's who own some percentage of original assets. And in any cases, you can create maybe some secondary trade, some secondary tradings. It's also you can split some dividends also, and all it's about tokenization. Let's describe a little bit few kinds of assets. What assets exist? First of all, is tangible assets. Is some assets that we can touch in the real world, like maybe some cars, some golds, real estate, anything that you can imagine. Yeah, and but also one more is intangible assets. It can be, for example, some IPs. It can be some maybe ideas, some technologies, something that not exist in the real world, but with tokenization, we can also tokenize it, and after it, we can trade it and sell it and get additional investment. And digital assets. It can be some pictures, some videos, music file, doesn't matter, maybe piece of code. You can also tokenize it and sell it directly. I am sure that all of you know what is NFTs. Yeah, we a little bit hate it because sometimes it's boring, but in terms of tokenization, it's really helpful to create an NFT that represents some assets. And also we should use a different kind of tokens on top of blockchain for tokenization. For example, if we want to tokenize some, I don't know, maybe some fiat money, why not? Yeah, like USDC or USDT, how it works. We can use ordinary fungible tokens, ERC20 tokens, and it will represent some amount of ownership. Yeah, and if you own, for example, 1,000 of USDT, it means that you owned like 1,000 of US dollars. For some assets, better to use ERC 721 or NFTs, because, for example, you want to tokenize your original cars with a lot of tunings, yeah, and you can create absolutely unique tokens that represent all of your cars, and you can after sell it. And also here is, for example, if you want to share ownerships of your ideas, and maybe you create some product on the blockchain, for example, and you want to split ownerships of your ideas and ownerships of your products with your community. In this case, you can just create a utility token, and any one of your memberships can get it and make some, I don't know, voting process, or maybe sell it or buy it and influence to your project. It's one more possibilities here.
So, by the way, guys, you can ask us any questions you might have related to the topic. You can see the Q&A button below in Zoom, so you can just click on it and type any questions you might have into this chat, and we will answer them after the educational part of this webinar. So, Andrew, you just described the basics of this technology, but can you tell us how it works, like in reality, in real cases, how we handle it with our clients, for example, like in more detail?
Yeah, with pleasure, for sure, because it's, you know, it's quite difficult sometimes to describe a whole idea. Each much more easier to show how it works directly and how we handle it. In Innowise, we create a special platform, like a lot of special platform for tokenization, but generally we can explain it with these diagrams. I understand that it's quite difficult, but I try to simplify it and show you few possibilities and few parts of this tokenization platform. First of all, is a platform for creating like NFTs that's called soul-bound NFTs. We need to pass a KYC for our end users, because we know that in a case if original assets request some and request some KYC procedure from our side, it also should include some such KYC procedure for our assets, for our tokens. But I know that many of companies who work with tokenization just create KYC procedure on the front end and on the back end. But in a case, if someone well in the crypto world and know how smart contracts work, he or she can work directly with smart contracts, and this platform can do something with it. Yeah, but in our point of view, we implement a soul-bound NFTs and put here some information about identity of user. And in this case, just someone who owns this percent of who own this kind of soul-bound NFTs can work with our smart contracts. And doesn't matter if he try to do it directly in our platform or directly to the smart contract with using Etherscan as an example. The second part of this platform is about tokenization platform itself. It's more for owners of platform and who want to issue some tokens. We add here some smart contracts for issuer tokens and some smart contract for burning tokens, because some use cases request from our side also possibilities to burn tokens. Also here is for initial selling process, because, for example, if we try to issue some, I know, maybe stable coins, we should take care about how we hold the collateral for these tokens. And for this, we created Oracle who sends this information on our blockchain platform. And just in case, if, for example, amount of basic assets bigger than amount of our tokens, just in this case, owner's platform can create additional tokens. On the other hand, if it's less, the owners should burn some tokens. Yeah, but for sure he can do it just from his wallet, because just imagine, yeah, if he tried to burn some tokens of users' wallets, it's I think the project should be closed after it. Yeah. The next part is a profit sharing platform. It's maybe the most important and most significant part of the platform for end users, because they want to get some profit from their investment. And it also requests some soul-bound NFTs and some KYC procedure for it, because we should take care about this process, and we don't want to someone from, I don't know, terroristic organization get profit from our platform. Yeah, how we deal with it? Here is also like a few possibilities, and some of our potential customers to be ask us to create automatic mechanism for splitting all of the profits and sending for directly to the users wallet. But we disagree with it, because sometimes it's better to create a liquidity pools, and end users will come with their wallet, with their soul-bound NFT and with their tokenized asset, and get this profit and claim it, let's call it this way. Yeah, and in this case, you shouldn't pay for transaction fees, and it's also help you to solve some problems if someone, for example, like forget seed phrase or something like this. And the last but not the least is a part of secondary trading. Yes, it can be done with a lot of different ways, but we show here just two different ways. The first one is creating a liquidity pool with automatic market makers. And it's also like a possibilities to your customer get like more value, more profit from the investment, because they can create a pairs between tokenized asset, between tokens and some stable coins or cryptocurrency, doesn't matter, and get additional investment, get additional profits. I mean, get something like fees from the exchange process. And OTC markets, sometimes you can think about it like about peer-to-peer transaction, and maybe someone wants to sell it cheaper than on the like liquidity pool, and in this case it also creates, by the way, additional opportunities to make arbitrage between these two different parts of our secondary market.
Thank you for providing such a detailed description of the scheme. I think this is an absolute treasure for tokenization enthusiasts, like the base, like a short guide. So let's add some interaction to our webinar. We have prepared some quick questions for our guests. You can see them on your screens and vote directly via Zoom. So I will read the questions out while you're voting. So I'll give you some time to think about it and to give your answers. So the first question that we have, what type of assets do you think are the most suitable for tokenization? Real estate, financial instruments, physical goods, precious metals, or you have some other in mind? The second question, in your opinion, what is the biggest advantage of tokenization? There are lots of them, of course, but we will choose the most important one. So liquidity, accessibility, fractional ownership, transparency, or some other. The next question, what do you perceive as the most significant drawback or risk of tokenization? Regulatory concerns, technological risk, security or reliability, market volatility, or some other things. So I can see you're voting. By the way, you can choose several answers for each question. Let's wait a couple of seconds more till you're voting. Oh, that's interesting. I can see your opinions are divided. Well, a couple of seconds more, and I think we can finish voting. And now I will share you our results, what we have. So, Andrew, what do you want to say about the outcomes?
It's impressed, I want to say, because I thought that it will be more for real estate. For example, in the first question will be more answers, but I agree that financial instruments and real estate, it's something that we can compare by the percentage of interest from end users. About biggest advantage of tokenization, fractional ownership. Yeah, I can just agree with it. I also think that liquidity is also like quite important, and we discuss it a little bit later. And market volatility. Okay, it's a little bit funny because according to my point of view, regulatory is like the main problems for industry, but we will discuss it later. But I agree that market volatility is also a big problems. And if we try to fixed price of our original tokens or of our tokens to the original asset, it means that we should handle with the problems of volatility, both of it, and it's quite difficult. Okay, let's discuss some pros and cons of tokenization. The biggest pros, according to my point of view, is liquidity, because, for example, if we try to sell like Mona Lisa, yes, Valeria mentioned, it's quite difficult to sell it, yeah, because in this case, we in one picture, and you should spend a lot of time for a process of finding someone who ready to buy it, yeah, like in one piece. But if we're speaking about like small part of it, you can trade it maybe in a few minutes. Why not? Yeah. The next is efficiency, because we shouldn't pay to a lawyer. We shouldn't pay to a counter for each deals. Yeah, we can handle just like we can work just with blockchain, and we shouldn't clean all of the deals, and it's for sure it makes the process of trading cheaper and faster, and that's pretty cool. And the last is transparency, because just emergent that who are own, like which address are own this kind of tokens, it means that owner of this address is owner of some percentage of original asset. And yeah, it works. Also, we can say that accessibilities, because I'm sure that not all of you can, or I hope that all of you can, but in the case if not, can buy quite big, I don't know, an apartment or quite big picture, too expensive. But with our approach with tokenization, you can make your portfolio and add more instruments on it. The next is cons of tokenization. According to my point of view, the biggest is regulatory challenges, because not all of the countries is okay with tokenization. And sometimes I don't know why, but they do it. They want to pay more attention for tokenized asset than to like original assets. I don't know why, but it happens, and because of it, it's quite difficult sometimes to tokenize, and we should take care about local law, KYC, and AML. As I mentioned before, if original asset requests some KYC procedure, in this case, our tokenized asset also requested, and we should do it. And AML also, because we should check all of investment and make sure that it's like a good money, yeah, not fraud, not terroristic, etc. Tech complexity, the biggest challenge, because we understand that, you know, we try to solve it, we try to simplify the process. In Innowise, our slogan, if any granny can deal with our tokenized platform, it means that our tokenized platform is like quite cool, yeah. But unfortunately, in many cases, some users should deal with addresses, seed phrases, and with cryptos at all, and sometimes it's quite difficult. And unfortunately, right now, a lot of fraud in this area, and because of which we should to simplify the process of onboarding new users and try to make it easier for them. And the last but not the least is security, because doesn't matter is your project are cool, is your basic assets are cool, how much you get from this. If someone will hack your smart contract, in this case, it means that it will be end for all of the project. And because of which we ask our customers, please double check smart contract. Please go to the auditing company and make sure that our contract works directly as we want to work. Yeah, that's maybe the biggest cons of tokenization.
So is it true that absolutely all tokenization processes prepare so many challenges and look so complex and multi-layered like the scheme you described?
Not, it depends. In many cases, it depends on which kind of asset we try to tokenize. The simplest and the most maybe like famous asset for tokenization is real estate tokenization. Here you can see the simplified version of our previous diagram. It's about tokenization of real estate. And here we can see that we also need some KYC, because it's impossible to imagine that someone owns an apartment and we don't know who it is. Yeah. And here we also put some smart contracts, for example, smart contracts for distribute dividends. It's quite important if we, for example, buy some quite big flat somewhere, I don't know, in Dubai, for example, and want to get interesting rate from the process of renting. In this case, we should make smart contracts that will distribute the dividends between owners of our tokens. The second smart contract is for secondary circulation. It's about secondary markets. It's about peer-to-peer. It's about pool of liquidity, and it's about some other like a mechanism like auction, for example. The next is about the next smart contract about initial selling, because the truth is that mostly you get some investment to your platform just on initial phase. For sure, we can add some royalty mechanism and put it on the smart contract, but our customers mostly thought that they don't really need it. Yeah, but we can. And one more quite funny and quite important part of this platform is about DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. Just imagine that we with Valeria decide to buy a flat. Why not? And she gets like 70% of investment on it. I just thought. And after it, I said, okay, sorry?
You're so generous, thank you.
Yeah, sure, no problems. And after it, I said, okay, I want to sell this flat and get my investment back. In this case, we should create something like voting. For sure, in our case, it's quite understandable who will win, but just imagine if here is thousands of owners. And in this case, for sure, we should use the power of blockchain for this process and get wide understandable answer how we should deal with it. And one more part here is administration panel. We should discuss it a little bit deeper, because it doesn't mean that we're speaking about like some centralized solution where administrator can, I don't know, for example, issue some additional tokens or maybe burn some tokens from the user's wallet. For sure, no. But but for analytics, maybe for a blacklist of investment, because we sometimes need it. It's how Circle or Tether works. Yeah, or we should add administrator panel for it. Okay. Here some pros of tokenization of real estate. First of all, for sure, is increased accessibilities, because I can't, for example, buy an apartment in Dubai, but if we will compare, all of us, we can do it, I'm sure. Yeah, and in this case, anyone, even with small sum, with a small budget, can invest in much more diversified like assets. The next is a streamlined transaction, because it's much faster, much easier, and we don't need someone in the middle like lawyers or accountants who sign our contracts and who will control it. Yeah, but we can deal just with blockchain and automatic compliance. Just imagine how it's difficult to check all of 1,000, for example, investors in one flat. It's difficult, it's expensive, and we need a lot of time for it. And next, for sure, income distribution, as I described to you on the previous slide. And it's also enhances liquidity, because traditional real estate, it's like illiquid kind of asset. And it's quite difficult for you to sell it on the secondary market maker, but some tokens with, for example, pool of liquidity and automatic market maker, you can sell it just a few minutes, and that's it. Yeah, and it's much faster than years with original assets.
So this looks really promising and seamless, but I would say even too seamless for investment. Are there any tricky challenges or downfalls to this process?
For sure. Unfortunately, a lot of like difficult moments with it. First of all, again, it's regulation. Not all of the countries okay with tokenization of real estate, and some countries said, okay, I'm ready to get your like agreement to tokenize your real estate, but you should sign contract with all of owners of your flat. But it's crazy. How? And if, for example, this tokens trade and change the owners like few times per minute, how we can sign a paper contract with all of owners? It's impossible. But some countries is okay with it. The second, again, is KYC and AML. Just imagine that in United States of America, we tokenize some house and some terrorist buying the part of these houses in the tokens form. I think it will be the last deal in a life cycle of our project. Tech complexity. Again, we discussed it earlier. You should know something about how blockchain works, how tokenization works, and it's problems that we should solve. And some unique is a lack of standardization. Just imagine that exist two absolutely equal flats in one house, but two different companies owned on this flat and want to tokenize it, and they used different type of smart contracts. They give us a different rights to this flat, and for sure, in this case, tokens will be unequal to each other. and we can just compare it and trade it between each other. But I hope that maybe in few years we will get a standard of some smart contract for tokenization, and we will get understandable process of it. And the last, again, but not the least, it's about security. Because if someone will hack our smart contract, it means that we can finish our project and just go away. Here is two examples of tokenization of platforms that tokenize some real estate, realty and lofty. Realty, for example, work in the United States of America and tokenize some house, and you can see that house, for example, cost $316,000 US dollars, but you can invest on it with using less than $50. Quite cool, I think, and it's how it works. But here is one important part of this platform: they are a little bit custodial. Sometimes we really need a custodian solution, but sometimes not. And we in Innowise we try to find some like a gold solution for our potential customers, some hybrid solution. Sometimes we try to make it more decentralized for some kind of asset, sometimes more centralized. It depends on the various kind of assets.
So while we are talking about the challenging landscape for tokenization, let's try to answer another 3 simple questions. Time for a little bit of reflection about it. So again, you can see them on your screen. I'll read them out while you're voting directly via Zoom. And then we'll share you the outcomes and comment on the right option for each answer. So the first one is, do I feel the current laws and regulations around tokenization are adequate? Yes, no, or you're in 2 minds about it. How do you view the impact of tokenization on traditional investment models? Positive, negative, or no impact at all? How do you foresee the future of tokenization? Will it become a standard practice, remain niche, or fade away? Or you are unsure about it? Again, couple of seconds more for you to vote. So think a little bit about it. So I can see the approximate results now. So a couple of seconds more for you to think about it. And I think we can finish. And I will share the results. So that's quite interesting.
I can't stop smiling because for sure it's difficult to say that laws are adequate because it's not exist in a lot of countries. Yeah, but unfortunately, I hope that if maybe some lawyers watch our streams, please make a prayer to a government, say we will win if we if we will make a clean and understandable laws for tokenization at all.
Right.
About impact of tokenization, positive, but I see some negative. Wow, it's quite interesting how it can make some negative influence. But positive here is, maybe in the last few years, we will get more and more different type of investment assets. Sometimes it's not all about blockchain for sure. It's also about some structured products on the original exchange. Yeah, but like more complex solutions will get more investment possibilities, and you can diversify your portfolio. And because of it, according to my point of view, it's okay for investment model. And future of tokenization become a standard mostly. Yeah, I agree, because it provides more possibilities for even for government. They don't understand it right now, but in future they will. And it will be a standard because it's more transparency, it's faster, and it's cheaper than deal with original investment at all. Okay, let's go ahead. One more example of tokenization, and maybe the second by the percentage of interest from our potential clients, is about tokenization of financial instruments. As you know, we need a few key actors to make a tokenization of financial assets. And first of all, for sure, it's issuers. Is some companies who decide to create some tokens that will represent some investment, and issuer is someone who will come to us and ask, I want to create some smart contract. Next is blockchain platform. Mostly from TVL perspective, total volume locked is Ethereum right now, but it doesn't mean that it's just one opportunities here. Next is custodians, is someone who can store and hold your like original asset or on its bank account or on its brokerage account, and you should take care about here's like about this process, because you should make sure that everything is still on this account. And for sure we need a smart contract for investment. Which kind of asset we can tokenize from the financial instruments? First of all, for sure, it's stocks. I'm sure you know that like original exchange with original stocks also have some problems. For example, they work just 9 hours per day, 5 days per week. But if something happened when exchange closed, we will see on the next day when the exchange will be open some gap between previous price and nowadays price. And the blockchain can solve this problem because blockchain works 24 hours per 7 days, and all of some good or bad news will influence to our price immediately. And I'm sure that in a time, some of exchanges will look at blockchain and tokenized assets, how they now looks on the futures exchange, and get some price maybe, and get some ideas how much it should cost. The next is bonds. Also, as an example, here in the European Union, some governments started to issue some bonds on the blockchain. It's quite cool. It's quite progressive, and I hope that it will help to make investment process more cleaner and more understandable for anyone. Okay, and also like an example of investment and of creation of investment, some like tokens, it's FTX example. As we know that FTX start issue some tokens that represent original stocks on the blockchain and start trading, or it's tax. I'm sure you know that FTX was a tax. Yeah, and it's first of all, they create these tokens that get the possibility to trade these tokens, and it works quite cool. They create a special trading pairs for it, but as I'm sure know, FTX is gone, and the truth is that this case eliminates some problems with tokenization, because if issuer is gone, what will happen with your tokens? Luckily, in this case, owners of these tokens will go to a custodian and say, please get me back some investment, and they found some solution. But it's also one tricky of investment. You should believe on your issuer when you want to tokenize some investment.
So if I imagine that I want to tokenize a stock, just imagine what I really need to do it, like in short.
Oh, first of all, you should check a local laws. Is it okay with your local laws? Sometimes it's okay, mostly not. But you also should find a custodian who will store your stocks on its brokerage account. And you also should find some tech team who will create a smart contract for this tokenization. Yeah, something like this. And just after it, you should like simplify maybe your project, thinking from the end user's point of thinking, and like add few features for this unique process. But in many cases, it depends by your localization, by tech skills or your auditories, etc., etc.
Right, thank you. So I think we're done with the educational part, and it's finally time for your questions. Below in Zoom, you can see the Q&A button. Please click on it and ask your questions related to this topic in this chat. We will read them out and answer them. So I can see that we already have some questions. They are quite interesting. So I will start with the first one. How are tokenized assets regulated?
It's the right question. That's maybe the most difficult. It depends on local law. And also, it's important not just to make sure in what jurisdiction you issue your tokens, but also who will deal with your tokens. And sometimes we really need to separate our auditories and get the possibilities to trade with this kind of tokens, just someone who can trade original tokens. But now I know that, and I'm sure that maybe all of you know that here in the European Union, MiCA is near to us, yeah, and I hope that it helps with to simplify the tokenization process.
Okay, thank you. The next question. I have been hearing quite a lot about MiCA regulations in the EU level, where utility tokens have been considered. Do you think with MiCA MiCA regulations, the tokenization standardization will improve or not?
Oh, I a little bit answered to this question. Yeah, I'm sure that it will improve and it will help us to invest and get, like, in a case, if anyone know the game rules, in this case, it's easier to create a successful business. You know, it's much easier than like try to find something in dark, like in the, unfortunately, in the United States of America.
So the next question, what do you think about the tokenization of perishable items? For example, the right to stay in a hotel room on a specific night. That's quite interesting.
Wow. Yeah, you know, we can imagine a lot of different use cases. I know use cases when some guys tokenize his own soul and so just a few thousands of dollars. I think it's quite cheap, but I think it's possible. And moreover, we can like mix tokenization process with smart hotels. And in the end, if you're, for example, you get these tokens, you can check in and sleep in here. And after you can store this token as your something that will remind you about this perfect night. Why not? Quite cool.
Thank you. The next question. If I have a real estate agency, what are my steps to tokenize properties on sale?
First of all, you should understood why you want to do it. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but it's true. But you should go to the lawyers. And again, everything unfortunately started from regulation. You should check is it okay, and also you should check your auditory. Are your local communities ready to such investment or not? I think that if your local law okay for selling this like real estate to someone from another countries, it will be the perfect case. But if not, you can like separate your auditory and work just with your local communities. After it, you should go to some companies, and like companies like ours can help even with some questions about checking local laws. We're not lawyers, but we can help to show you like a direction when you should like check it, you know, something like this.
Cool, thank you. The next question. What countries are best to run token-based business, and what countries are not friendly at all?
I think that Switzerland is the best countries for now, and maybe everything around Dubai also. Like it's like in the cities, maybe the best place for, and I know that a lot of an apartment here already tokenized and it works. Yeah, but unfriendly countries, like some countries where cryptocurrency totally blocked. Yeah, you can check this number of countries for sure. They will disagree with your tokenization ideas.
Thank you. The next one. What is the base of a successful NFT arts gallery? How to run it to get profit?
It's not, it's not a question to our topics today, but you should, and we created a lot of NFTs marketplaces and NFTs collection in Innowise, and we developed it. But of course, in my point of view, the most important is what you want to show with it. What ideas do you want to provide with NFTs? Because if it's just an image created by AI, it's costs nothing. Yeah, but in a case, if it's, I don't know, maybe you want to help someone or you want to sell it and I don't know, create some funds, it will be cool. Because people don't really like to buy NFTs. They like to buy an idea and dreams, maybe. Yeah, something like this.
Okay, thank you. So let's, I think we are running out of time, unfortunately. Oh, no, we have a short question that we can answer like 2 minutes. How is token value determined?
Whoa.
The last one.
Yeah, it's quite important question. It depends. It depends from in different cases, but generally we can determine the price of tokens with original assets. For example, if original asset costs something, we can divide it by number of our tokens, and it will be a price of tokens. But sometimes we can't determine it and we can't divide it. And in this case, a market will decide what price should be. And so like some market mechanism, and sometimes it's quite difficult to compare price to original assets and the price of the tokens. And we should make some pegging mechanism to solve these problems. Yeah, I think yes.
Okay, that was short. That was quick, and we have a chance for another question. But cool. How can I verify the authenticity of the asset?
Yes, it's really difficult topics. You should, unfortunately, here we need some third side who will check original assets. We create some oracles and ask some auditing company to check amount of assets and some right is really owners or someone who wanted to tokenize it owned all of rights to this kind of asset. Something like this. And unfortunately for now, not exist a really cool mechanism. Maybe in a day, AI will check it. I hope, but not now.
So I think, well, can tokenization impact cross-border transactions and investments?
Okay. It's important and it depends on local regulation. In any cases, some countries is okay with it, some countries is not. And you should pay your taxes maybe, and sometimes pay double taxes in the countries where tokens were issued and in the countries where you lived. Yeah, and yes, it will simplify the process. And for sure, it's easier for me to buy just tokens on the blockchain than go to some like a local exchange and try to buy original stocks or something like this. But it's not means that it's a legal deal. And in any cases, if you want to issue a token pegged to some stocks, you should take care about laws. I will repeat it again and again, but unfortunately, it's world where we lived right now.
So thank you, Andrew. That was amazing. I think we are running out of time, unfortunately, so that was the last question. But if we haven't answered your question, don't worry, we won't leave you guessing. We will send you the answer via email, so just wait a little bit, we will do it. And still, if you have any questions related to the topic or a project in mind that you would like to discuss, feel free to contact us via email that you can see on your screen or via phone numbers. Also, by following the QR code that you can see on your screens, you can visit our website and get better acquainted with our blockchain tokenization projects, with our team, with our expertise, and discuss your potential projects with us. We will help you to implement your ideas about tokenization. So thank you for attending this webinar and for your engagement, for your questions. We hope that you gained valuable insights into the world of tokenization, and we hope that we will see you at our next event, of course. Thank you so much, and have a nice weekend. Have a nice evening.